Welcome dear students to this poetry session. Today I am going to take up Jazz Poem 2 written by Carl Wendell Heinz. Let's read about the poet first. Carl Wendell Heinz was born in North Carolina. He graduated from Tennessee Agricultural and Industrial University in 1962. His verse have been hoisted as some of the best of contemporary writers. Actually, this poem is published in 1963. It's a poem like Ancient Mariner of Coleridge's Coleridge's poem Ancient Mariner. Coleridge, what he has given a message in the poem is, he was of course Samuel Coleridge, in which the seaman was shot. Seaman shots a bird, albatross, a bird of good omen, and he suffers a lot of difficulties during his travel, and at last he gets a supernatural punishment because of the killing the omen bird albatross. Here also, Jazz Poem 2, jazz is a type of music of black Americans. It's actually, its origin have been regular or forceful. It is very forceful in music. This actually, jazz music is about the Jesus Christ, where they sing the song very loudly. What he tells is, this jazz is also like the ancient mariner who is completely pathetic. He is so pathetic in figure. At last, when the ancient mariner in the poem, this one Coleridge's poem, at last how many difficulties he has faced, the same thing is the pathetic figure of this jazz, who this black mariner, like this the black mariner is just like jazz, who has got a very pathetic figure, but he has the power to listen to his music that is not possessed by all. He has got a gift that when he starts his music, everyone is attracted towards him. He is silent in speech, he won't speak, but eloquent in music. He is so much involved in the music that everybody is attracted towards his music. Let's read about the poem. I'll read out the poem, then explain the summary. There he stands, see, like a black ancient mariner, his wrinkled old face, so full of wearies of living, is turned downward with closed eyes. His frayed collar, faded blue old shirts, turns dark with sweat, and the old necktie undone drops loosely about the worn old jacket. Just barely holding his sagging stomach in, his rundown shoes have paper in them, and his rough unshaven face shows pain in each wrinkle, but there he stands in self-brought solitude, head still down, eyes still closed, ears perked and trained upon the brass line, for across his chest lies an old alto saxophone, supported from his neck by a wire coat hanger. Gently he lifts it now to parted lips, see, to tell all the world that he is a black man, that he was sent here to preach the black gospel of jazz, now preaching it with the words of screaming notes and chords. He is no longer a man, but not even a black man, but a bird, that one that gathers his wings and flies higher until he flies away or comes back to find himself a black man again. So beautifully described of this jazz. There he stands, see, like a black ancient mariner of Coleridge poem, that ancient mariner is standing, his wrinkled old face so full of wearies of living turned downward with closed eyes. He is not at all interested or enthusiastic in his living. He never wants to continue his living. His worries of living is turned downward. He doesn't want to continue. He has no enthusiasm. He has no interest in his life. His eyes are turned downwards. His frayed collar, faded blue old shirt turns dark with sweat, and the old necktie undone drops loosely about the worn old jacket. His frayed collar, the collars are completely torn, all the threads are coming out of it. Faded blue shirt that has turned, the blue shirt has turned, that completely faded due to sweat. And the old necktie, the necktie is completely old, it is dropping down loosely about the old jacket. He has got a jacket over that shirt, old shirt, where the necktie is dropping down, just barely holding his sagging stomach in. That old necktie is just holding the sagging stomach, the stomach which has come out. It is just holding it. It shows like that. Yeah, his rundown shoes have paper in them. See the pathetic of his situation, how he is living. His shoes are also torn, and the whole torn part is covered with papers, torn with bits of papers in them. And his rough unshaven face, completely face is rough, it is not shaved at all, the all birds have come out. He shows complete pain in him, in each wrinkle, but there he stands in self-brought solitude, head still down, eyes still closed, ears perked and trained upon the bass line, for across his chest lies an old alta saxophone, supported by his neck by a wire coat hanger, wire coat hanger. How is his face is completely unshaven, his beard has it has grown long. He has completely, the pain is shown in each wrinkle of his face, but he is in solitude. He stands there in self-brought solitude. He is not afraid of the life. He shows that he is a self-brought solitude. He is alone, but he has brought up himself. His head stills down, his eyes completely down, his ears are closed, and on his chest there lies a bass line of, that is the saxophone's hanger, which hangs on his chest. From his neck, supported by a hanger, wire hanger, the saxophone, old alto saxophone. It is his most important in his own life, which he has brought up within him. Though he won't speak, he has an altophone which shows to the world that he has the ability to preach with that altophone to the whole world. What do you preach? Gently to his left, he lifts it now to parted lips, see, to tell all the world that he is a black man, that he was sent here to preach the black gospel of Joss. Now preaching it with words of screaming notes and chords. He is no longer a man, not even a black man, but yeah, a bird. Now when he starts, his eyes are completely down, closed, his ears are closed, but still when he takes up his altophone towards the parted lips, he is now telling to the whole world that he is a black man. He's know that he is a black man. that he sent here to preach to the world the black gospel of Jaws. The black gospel is the religious teachings, preachings of Jesus Christ. He is taking up to his lips and preaching the whole world, the gospel, the religious preachings of Jesus Christ to whole world, that with the screaming notes, with high notes, he is, with shouting, he is preaching the gospel, and chords, he is no longer a man. He is showing with the chords on the telephone, he is just removing the strings so fast that the sound all over the world is heard. He is teaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Yes, when he takes up, he is no longer a man, but no longer a black man. And especially he is an individual of a black man. He has a self-sorted that he is a black. He forgets that he is a black man. And now he becomes a bird. He becomes a bird which shows to the world, he shows to the world that he is no longer a black man but a bird who can fly high, higher and highest. See, high, higher. How he is moving is the birds as it takes the flight from low to high, high, higher. That means to the complete high note, screamingly, shoutingly, he starts preaching to the whole world his gospels of Jaws, until he flies away to the highest note where he has gone, where at the end he has reached, or again comes back when he closes his eyes to the highest he has gone, and when he closes his eyes again, his thought comes, he has to come himself to find himself a black man again. He is finding himself that he is a black man again. He is no longer a Jaws. He has come back to his original position with closed eyes, closed ears, everything, and he is realizing now he is a black man. So this poem, just that though he is a black man, he is very pathetic, he won't speak, he has no proper clothes to wear, he is so pathetic that he is not even have a nice dress to wear, nice dress to eat, all the face has become wrinkled, and each wrinkle show the pain on his face. But still, when he takes up his alto saxophone, which is hanging on his chest, when he starts blowing it on that saxophone, he forgets that he is a black man. And he starts preaching the whole gospel of Jaws, the whole teachings, religious teachings of Jesus Christ. When he starts, he forgets that he is a man, he is a black man. And he flies like a bird from a low to very high distance, high altitude, so high that he forgets everything, and he just screams, he shouts the whole gospel of Jaws, so that the people can hear him. Again, when he has reached to that highest point, he will come back to realize that he is a black man, and he comes down calm and he just shuts out. So this is the summary of this poem. Now this poem has a very important questions of 4 marks, and 4 marks only. One, you may get the summary of the poem, or you may be asked like describe the pathetic condition of the Jaws, black Jaws. So you may get one question or one summary from this poem for the examination. Thank you. This poetry session, today we are going to take the Ballad of the Tempest. What is this ballad? Ballad is an ode. Ode means a song is sung narrating a story in a short stanzas. That's narrating any stories in short stanga, we call it as an ode. And this poem is an ode. Is a ode typical, it is written in praise of some danger caused in the sea. This poem is written by James T. Fields. James T. Fields, of course, he was born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire on December 31st, 1817, and named James Field. The family later added the S, his father who was a sea captain and died before Fields was 3. His father was actually sea captain in the ship, and he died when Field was only 3 years old. So he had overcome all the difficulties what the sailors are facing on the sea. Now this poem is just a ode. Ballad is just, it is sung in, it's a narration, complete narration of a story in the form of stanzas. It is tempest. Tempest means the highest storms, the dangerous storms caused on seas or oceans. Here, what he says here, let's read the poem. Fortune favors the brave is an often quoted statement. Even Columbus had a lot of faith in the Almighty, but it is true of everybody. Now, listen to the poem where the sailors face the great peril. See whether someone will come to their rescue or not. Read the poem. Columbus was the one who discovered the sea routes to India. You know that. He also faced many dangerous situations on sea, but he had a great faith in the Almighty, on the God. Now here, see this, listen how this poem tells about the sailors who are in great peril, in great danger, in great serious danger they are in. How they come out of this peril and how they are rescued. Will they are rescued or not? It is very important. It is told in this poem. We were crowded in the cabin, not a soul would dare to sleep. It was midnight on the waters and the storm was on the deep. It is a fearful thing on winter to be shattered by the blast and to hear the rattling trumpet thunder cut away the mast. So we shuddered there in silence, for the stouted held his breath, while the hungry sea was roaring, the breakers stalked their deaths with deaths. As thus we sat in darkness, each one busy with his prayers, we were lost, the captain shouted, as he staggered down the stairs. But his little daughter whispered, as she took his icy hand, isn't God upon the ocean just the same as on the land? Then we kissed the little maiden, and we sparked in better cheer, and we anchored safe in harbour when the morn was shining clear. How beautiful it is described, see. We were crowded in the cabin. Who were crowded? The sailor was crowded in the cabin, not a soul dared to sleep. It was midnight on the waters and the storm was on the deep. Why they were not dared to sleep? It was quite midnight, 2 o'clock night. How can they sleep? Why? Because there was a big storm on the deep seas. They are in the middle of the seas, deep seas, and there is a big storm. How could they sleep? Everybody knows that the ship is going to sink. It's a fearful thing in winter to be shattered by the blast and to hear the rattling trumpet thunder cut away the mast. It's a fearful thing in winter because winter seasons, due to the depressions, the waves are very high. The storm, it blows at very high speed, and it's a fearful thing, very fearful thing. Everybody shattered by that blast. Everybody is silenced. They are all afraid. Everyone is afraid of that. How can they survive now? Everybody questions of their life and death. They are all shattered by that blast, that whole storm. They are all very fearful. They are all very afraid of the storm. And to hear the rattling trumpet thunder, how the trumpet, see the drums, how they are banged, like that the thunder is roaring on the sky. How could they manage the ship? Now they are saying they have to cut away the mast, the whole flag, that pole post which holds the canvas, that has to be cut, because if it is left out, it will just make the ship sink inside the water. Now they have to cut away the mast. The sailors said they have to cut the mast, the whole ships which is controlled by that. So we shuddered there in silence. When the mast is cut out, the whole flag post is cut out, they all shuddered, they were all shivering there in silence. For the stoutest held his breath. The strongest sailor, he also held his, he was very courageous, that he know that whatever the situations comes, he may overcome, he may swim and go, but he was also afraid. He also held his breath. While the hungry sea was roaring and the breakers talked with it. The hungry sea, see here, the sea is called hungry. Why? Because it is completely in the depression of the storm. The high waves, the high tides are moving. Here there is a figure of speech, hungry sea. Hungry sea is referred to here, personification. Personification is the giving life to the inanimate objects. So here it is, sea is called hungry because the whole tide is so high that it is going to take away the lives of the sailors. And the breakers talked with death. Breakers means all the stones, and they are all talking of death, that these sailors are going to die. And thus we sat in darkness. Everything went off, all the lights, everything is went off of the ship. Everybody is sitting in darkness, each one busy with his prayers. The only last sort to continue the life is the prayers. They are praying the Almighty. With prayers, we are lost, the captain shouted as he staggered down the stairs. The captain who was steering the ship, he also came out of his cabin and went to the sailor's cabin, and they shouted that we are lost. But his little daughter whispered as she took his icy hand. The courage is with the little daughter of the captain who took his icy hand. The daughter took the icy hands of the captain and said, "Isn't God upon the ocean like the same as on the land?" Just the same as on the land. Is there no God on the ocean? Like just as on the land. Definitely God will save us. Have belief in God. Have faith in God. Then we kissed the little maiden. When she told it, every sailor got the hope of survival. Everybody got the, yes, God is there to save us. Only the last resource is God, who is going to save us. So they all took the little girl's hand, they kissed her, and we spake in better cheer. Everyone was quite hopeful now that they are going to reach the bay. And we anchored safe in the harbor. As they took the hands, they all came to the harbor. When the morning was shining clear. When they reached the harbor, the morning was very calm. What the storm, the highest speed the wind was blowing, everything calmed down as they reached the bay, and the whole morning was quite clear with shining sun. So here, the poet wants to justify what is that every one of us should have hopes, further hopes to survive. See, God is there. Every moment He will help us in danger. Now here, the important questions from this poem is all 3 marks extracts. Extracts in the sense you will get like crowded in the cabin, not a soul would dare to sleep. Who does the word we refers to? We refers to the sailor. Not a soul dared to sleep. Why was it so? Not a dare. No, why was it so? Not a soul was, not a single sailor was about to sleep. Why? Because of the tempest, because of the storm, the heavy storms. Now, what precautions the sailor have to takes before they have to go for the voyage? Or 2 marks questions. What precautions? When they go before the voyage, they should have a first that recording meters, then they should wear life jackets, they should have complete equipped cabins in them with all safety measures. So certain things we have to mention here. One is 3 marks poem of 3 marks of extracts and 2 marks of questions from this poem. So it's a short poem beautifully described by James T. Fields. Thank you.